A simple way to relax your mind is to ask yourself one question. Who are we? Why do we exist? Where does the universe come from? If the gods created the universe, then who created them? These are questions that any field of science or religion yearns to fully answer. A shame that we still haven't. From the past, through the present, and into the future, humanity never ceases to seek and answer those questions. Today, the story will explore another perspective on the origin of the universe through an authentic experience. An American doctor encountered a peculiar patient. In the depths of sleep, this person revealed to him the truth about the origin of the universe, something no religion or science in human history had ever mentioned before. This doctor has completed and published a book titled *The Urantia Prophecy. So, what principle does the universe exist upon? In the 1920s, there was a doctor in Chicago named William Sater. With his exceptional skills, he became renowned throughout the region and was deeply respected and trusted by the community. At that time, the people of Chicago didn't just visit doctors when they were ill. Sometimes they also sought out psychics to address inexplicable problems. The phenomenon of extrasensory perception was quite popular during this period. In reality, a psychic medium acts as a bridge or intermediary for spirits. In other words, they allow spirits to enter their body to facilitate communication. When a spirit enters them, the psychic becomes a vessel for the spirit to express its thoughts. They begin to converse unconsciously, speaking things beyond the imagination of ordinary people. But when psychics enter a hypnotic state, they are often unaware of their own words and actions. As someone who always trusts in science, faced with this strange phenomenon, Sander was determined to investigate and uncover the truth. After years of investigation, he finally reached a conclusion. So-called extrasensory perception was not some supernatural state at all, but merely an elaborate hoax. Exposing the truth with psychological tactics. But surprisingly, while Sander was satisfied with the research backed by the scientific community and believed his conclusions were entirely accurate, in the summer of 1925, a strange incident happened to him. The story begins on an afternoon. Lisa, the neighbor, hurriedly ran over to ring Sander's doorbell. She mentioned that her husband, David, would sometimes suddenly fall into a deep sleep without any warning signs. No matter how hard Ms. Lai tried, she couldn't wake him up. Moreover, David was breathing heavily and rambling. His words were all jumbled and incomprehensible, making it impossible for her to understand. Therefore, Lisa hopes Dr. Sander will support her. Sander felt both strange and curious. He hurriedly followed Lisa to her house. Lisa gently led Sander into the room. At that moment, David was still fast asleep. They patiently waited for David to wake up and then analyzed his sleep, checking for any unusual signs. Suddenly, David spoke up, his voice clear and firm. "Hello, I am an envoy from the universe, a member of the Spiritual Life research team." Sander was startled and terrified upon hearing the news. The fact that David could speak every word clearly in his dream was incredibly strange, something Sander had never experienced before. But Sander didn't mind much. He remained patiently by David's side, waiting for him to wake up. After a moment, David regained consciousness, and Lisa promptly introduced Dr. Sander to him. The two continued their conversation afterward. David introduces himself as a businessman, as well as a member of the Chicago Trade Council and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. He told Sander that he didn't feel anything unusual about his health. Occasionally, he would drift into a deep sleep unexpectedly, but there was nothing to worry about. David thought his wife was worrying a bit too much. Sander understood what David was trying to convey, so after asking a few more questions and taking careful notes, he said goodbye and left. T helped feeling uneasy. As she saw Dr. Sander off, she asked for his further opinion on David. But even Sander didn't recognize the issue, so he simply advised Lisa to keep monitoring the situation further. He also reminded Lisa that if David ever fell into that abnormal sleep state again, she should call him immediately. After a period of observation, Sander noticed something strange. Every time David fell asleep, he would repeat the exact same phrase. "Hello, I am an envoy from the universe, a member of the Spiritual Life research team." Finally, Sander couldn't hold back anymore and had to respond. "Hello, I'm Sander." But what happened next completely changed his perspective. David replied to Sander, "You know, we call your planet Urantia. This name actually comes from your own sun. Your sun is one of the most iconic symbols of Andronovo culture. The Andronovo people were once part of the Nibidan local cosmos. This great deity of love was born in the supreme universe of Ovental in ancient times, from a very, very distant past. Those words left Sander stunned, wondering if this was just delirious rambling or not. But he found those words to be clearly reasoned. Never had he heard such nonsense spoken with such coherence. "Ah, could you please speak a bit slower? What did you just say? The universe, love, or something like that. Could you repeat it? I'll jot down the words you just shared." David was sinking into a deep sleep, yet he still repeated those phrases clearly. To help Sander remember, he deliberately spoke each word slowly. Sander quickly grabbed the notebook and wrote down every word David said verbatim. When Sander asked another question, David remained silent and didn't answer. About 10 minutes later, David took a deep breath and slowly opened his eyes, waking up. He opened his eyes, saw Sander, and immediately knew he could help check on his health condition. Ask Sander if there's anything unusual. David listened as Sander recounted the entire incident in detail, just as it had unfolded. Space messenger. David shook his head repeatedly, showing that he didn't understand what Sander was hinting at. At that moment, Sander suddenly realized he was facing something strange. The next few times, David fell into a deep sleep without saying another word. On the night before Christmas, David suddenly started sleep-talking again. "Last time, I didn't have time to jot down the information, so now I've learned my lesson." This time, Sander brought along a stenographer to record everything. This time, David explained thoroughly and clearly. He explained that Urantia is a type of planet in the universe, sharing similarities with our Earth. A place where life exists and diverse civilizations thrive. Urantia belongs to the local universe known as Nebadon. In the local Demodon universe, there exist 100 constellations. Each constellation has approximately 100 systems capable of supporting life. Habitability refers to a system having suitable conditions to sustain human life, as on Earth. Each of these systems also includes about 1,000 Earth-like planets, called Urantia, where humans live. Therefore, a local universe could contain around 10 million worlds similar to our human world. If Earth is your home, then Demodon is the neighborhood you live in. The supreme deity of the local universe of Demodon is Michael of Sovington. He meticulously planned the event down to the smallest detail, just like a neighborhood leader taking care of everything. Within the space and time under Michael's governance, the universe is gradually becoming more perfected and evolved. In the cosmic space near us, diverse world systems and orders are being constructed. The bodies and intelligence of various creatures are all designed based on a spiritual foundation, existing within the scope of your perception and continuously being refined. But you can't just do whatever you want. All of his plans could only be carried out with the approval of the Supreme Creator Deity. Moreover, since the Creator Deity did not directly command Michael, he appointed the Tree Deity to oversee the material foundation and energy source of the universe. A similar system to the world's blueprint was provided and assigned to Michael. Michael can rely on the detailed plan to arrange everything. The movement of matter and energy within the local universe of Nebadon. From there, he created space and time spanning the universe, with galaxies and worlds of life flourishing brilliantly. But within the local universe of Nebadon, there exists a superuniverse. The matter and energy in the local universe of Nebadon account for only about 1/100,000th of the superuniverse. This superuniverse also has a name, Ovanton. In short, if Earth falls within this range, then Urantia is your home. Nebadon is the neighborhood you live in, and Ovanton is your hometown city. The space envoy spoke incessantly through David's mouth, while the stenographer brought by Sader continued to scribble diligently. Suddenly, David fell silent, and though Sader tried to draw him out with a few probing questions, he still didn't respond. Sader knew he had to stop here today. David woke up after a while, but as usual, he couldn't remember a thing when asked. "I just remember sleeping very well." In the blink of an eye, time had passed. Lisa hadn't been in touch with Sader for a very long time. Because David also no longer fell into a sleep state afterward. "You were busy working all day," which made Sader a little disappointed because he wanted to learn more about Urantia. Being too busy with work, Sader gradually forgot about that story. Just like that, 5 years have passed. That evening, Seder sat with his family, sipping tea and chatting warmly in the backyard. Suddenly hearing a frantic knock at the door, Seder sprang to his feet and hurried to open it. Lisa appeared, but David had fallen asleep once again. Seder hurriedly chased after Lisa right after sitting down for a moment. David spoke again, but the voice was not his, it belonged to the messenger from space. Moreover, she remembers the content of previous conversations very clearly. Last time, I told you about the local Nibidan universe. And let's also briefly touch on the overt and megaverse. Today, I want to share about a broader topic, the overall structure of the universe as I understand it. Seder listened intently, not wanting to miss a single word. Because the situation happened too urgently, there was no time to notify the stenographer. If everything just depended on Seder, he flipped open the notebook and diligently began jotting down notes. This person recounted that the Creator began the work of creation in ancient times. That surpasses the limited imagination of a mortal being. The vast universe, with its immense scale, leaves even a tiny life like me at this level utterly astonished. Thus, the Lord of the universe appeared in the multiverse. Although human understanding is limited, we can still grasp certain structures and laws of the universe. You can grasp some of the physical characteristics of the universe. It can be understood that the super-universe exists throughout space and time. And the existence of a central universe called Havona. The space emissary continued to explain that we humans are fully capable of comprehending the mysteries of the central universe and the superuniverse. There exist highly intelligent beings that you commonly refer to as gods. Then, the messenger from space began to explain the overarching structure of the universe. From the center of the universe to the realm of heaven is a distant journey, traversing infinite space and boundless time. Our perception is a subjective universe, consisting of 6 concentric ellipses. The spheres symbolize different dimensional spaces, corresponding to the 6 major dimensions. These 6 layers form a unified whole, known as the Universe Lord. All things turn toward the heart of the celestial realm. We can imagine this celestial kingdom as an island adrift in the vast universe. Standing atop the pinnacle of creation, the architect of the universe reigns here. These 6 major layers, arranged in order from the innermost to the outermost, are as follows. First is the central universe, followed by the 7 surrounding superuniverses. Go further outward to the 4th, 5th, 6th layers. That is the outermost shell of the universe. The first space center was not a space-time structure. It exists forever. That vast universe is constructed from billions of exquisitely spherical worlds. The heart of the universe is an eternal, unchanging paradise island. All outer layer structures revolve around the central universe. The second level consists of 7 supreme universes. They are a band of space comprising countless individual universes. The Overton superuniverse, which contains Earth, is one of the 7 relatively new superuniverses. The scope of these 7 superuniverses encompasses approximately 7 trillion inhabited planets. Currently, the boundary of this area is damaged and was never properly balanced to begin with. The third layer is the outermost layer in space. This class is vastly distant from the scope of the 7 nearest super-universes. This outer layer of space holds an immense source of energy, like a great wheel of energy ceaselessly driving the process of creation. It's 7 hyperuniverses away. This area is eerily quiet, as silent as a place untouched by dust. Essentially, the space envoy conveyed knowledge of the universe to this place. The outer part of the third layer knew almost nothing about this matter. Moreover, they probably also realized that these words are too obscure for the average person. They never heard of this before, and therefore, that character continued to explain. On the second level, 7 supreme universes were created by time. From the 3rd to the 6th floor, the 4 outer layers of the building are likely under construction. Due to my limited ability, I couldn't tell what was happening inside. We also once discussed the possibility of an undiscovered, flawless creation existing beyond those 6 layers. Finally, the space envoy concluded with a brief sentence. Ultimately, we are all living beings created by nature. For the Supreme Creator, the purpose of creation and his wisdom are beyond our comprehension. At that very moment, the conversation suddenly ended, and David also woke up abruptly. As always, he didn't understand what had just happened, nor could he remember a single thing. Over a span of 10 years, Dr. Satter collected and analyzed a total of 250 conversations. Finally, he was convinced that David had been manipulated by other higher spirits. They used David's voice to convey the thoughts and messages they wanted to express. In 1926, Satter presented this case for discussion with colleagues. His colleague appeared deeply intrigued by those strange pieces of information. Right after that, an even more surprising miracle occurred. In one observation log, Satter heard the space envoy speak through David's mouth, telling him, "Go ahead and prepare your questions, I'll answer them for you." Therefore, Satter asked a few questions. Sure enough, David was fast asleep, his eyes tightly shut, yet his hand reached up to grab a pen and began writing on the paper. This time, everything was so easy for Satter, he didn't even need to pick up a pen to take notes. More than 3 decades later, in 1955, a monumental work spanning over 2,000 pages was introduced to readers, titled the Urantia Book. This book records the entire responses of the space emissary, conveyed through David. The book consists of 4 main sections. The first part depicts the central universe and the superuniverse, where the gods reside along with their world. Here are 2 natural English translation options. The third part discusses Urantia, while also depicting the history of Earth and the cosmic space surrounding our planet. This passage summarizes the history of human civilization, specifically focusing on historical and religious elements during this period. The fourth part focuses on recounting the deeds of Jesus, closely resembling the image of Jesus as recorded in the biblical stories. He is the supreme deity of the Nibbado universe, the local world where we reside, known as Michael reincarnated. Although many people do not believe the content of this book was divinely revealed, they also cannot prove the opposite. This book features coherent writing, a clear and logical structure, and a consistent, well-developed perspective. You can flip through the book's pages to grasp the content in more detail. The man named Borat Gook suspected that Dr. Sade was the true author of this book and also the one impersonating David. But when Borat compared Sade's long-published, scandalous spiritual book to the Urantia, you may notice that the writing styles of these 2 books are completely different. Therefore, some suspect that perhaps Sade himself had personally revised the manuscript. The publisher firmly refuses to disclose the author's name of the book. Therefore, as the reader noted, this book was written exactly as such. It is a work directly created by the gods themselves. Their mission is to bring humanity a new doctrine suited to the modern era. It should be added that this book may refer to a larger universe, composed of 7 damaged and unbalanced superuniverses. Exactly 2,000 years ago, Michael, the supreme deity of the Nimbadan universe, where Earth exists, Jesus Christ was born and came into the world to save humanity. This means the apocalypse that many civilizations once predicted. It's not just the demise of Earth, but also the end of humanity itself. Could the apocalypse be the result of wear and tear and imbalance in this vast universe? That is an issue belonging to the broader scope of the universe. We must all agree that, certainly, in the vast and infinite universe out there, there truly exists a supreme creator. Everything created carries its own meaning, yet humanity has yet to fully comprehend it. Every scientific perspective, each religious belief, or mystical spiritual story exists for its own reasons. Clearly, creativity is helping us uncover more about them. Therefore, always keep an open mind to welcome new messages. Knowledge is the foundation that enables our creativity. That wraps up today's video. Thank you all for watching until the end.